See, I've been in here for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I see niggas, they like to talk a lot. They like to claim leadership. They like to claim this and that. You know what I'm saying? They like to be above when they really is and have authority. But they don't really need that authority. They don't really know what to do with that leadership. You understand? You hold hands with this boy, your ass need to stop it. Ass you to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. See, everybody ain't with all that peace talk. Everybody ain't with all that. Let bygone be. Boy, your ass need to stop it. Ass you to prop. It's about to get serious. When they hit us with dope and kill us with crack, where the fuck with your leaders? I'm curious. He cashed out on your blood, traded you in and bought a new biz. Ask you the prophets, I tell you the scheme. If you don't wake up, you gon' die in your dreams. I say you won't tell you no more. I swear these crackers try to kill us slow. Just spoke to a nigga in Fed, up for parole because of the COVID. It feel like the host in this world that don't go together. Know it's gold in the ghetto. I'm in the city blazing with my niggas. Just told the devil the score never settled. Yeah, see the prophets. I'm tired of these niggas keep talking about, you know, you respect my religion, I respect your religion. Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass need the prophets. You know, like we all come together. Just, you know, they say God so loved the world. God so loved the world, and know boy, your ass need to stop it, ass need the prophets. Don't give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, y'all, we don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass shit. One with step, I'm solid for show. To the fake niggas, stay silent, I got it, let's go, let's go. I ain't taking no loss, I ain't no token when we got the flow. I ain't no peace, just pay with your own. I'ma be loyal to the right arm. Tell him we can't keep it slate. And I can never let bygone be bygone. Got your baby mother on high, got your baby pass through the fire. Ask you the prophets, that baby so below to the Lord. How dare you abort it? Therefore will failure, bitch, I can afford it. I prepare slaughter, you bring me my water. Push your leaders weak, let them lies slip through their teeth. Their ass need to stop it, ass see the prophets.
That's just the reality, Christians. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings. I know your pastor lied to you every Sunday for 30 years, but that's what the church is for, lying. That's why they exist, to lie the money out of your pockets.
Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass need to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga.
Hey, Shalom Israel. All right, this is the ISUPK Wednesday history class. We're running a little bit late. Obviously, all the traffic. You got all the Christmas shoppers and all of that stuff. So, remember, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show, which is 2 a.m. UK time. Remember to check out the classes we have here in the UK. The classes we have here in the UK, Monday through Friday. We have the law class Monday, Brotherhood Tuesday, History Wednesday, Scripture Breakdown Thursday, Lashon Kadash Friday, and the radio show also. And on Saturday, we have the Sabbath service. So come on down to those, man, or log in and so forth. So this is the history class. Also, you can type your questions in, whether on topic or off topic. We'll get to your questions also. So today we're going to go into, this is part 4. After this week, we're probably going to leave it there until further notice and start going into something else. Banyamia must be bored stiff of this medieval history stuff by now.
We've
been on it for like a month. But yeah, next week we're gonna switch gears. So today we're gonna go into medieval Europe, medieval England. We're gonna finish up with last week we went into the Norman conquest. Now we're gonna go into what the Normans brought to England. So now we're gonna go into what the Normans brought to England. And when you look at it, Edomites technically they can't be English, because in order for you to be English, you have to be a descendant of the Anglo-Saxons, man. Those Anglo-Saxons. And Anglo-Saxon was what? Back then it started off with a group of brothers, man, which would have made it a race, of people. Now they claim the Anglo-Saxons today, they're not. They claim the Normans today, they're not. Because the Anglo-Saxons was black, the Normans was black. When you look at all of those kings back then, all of them was black. and then they started to marry into the same families. The Normans would marry into would start marrying the women of the Anglo-Saxons. The Anglo-Saxons would start marrying the women from Normandy, and then after that, that's why you had the term Anglo-Norman. So now, in the beginning, you would call it Anglicized or Anglo-Saxons. Anglo-Saxons was what? The people of England. Well, the people that of Angloland, that was in the land that we today right now. And then after that, you had the Normans, who was from where? Normandy, who settled in the north part of France, and they was called the Northmen because the Franks seen them and said, these people are coming from the north, so they had the term the Northmen, so they called them Northmen. No, we're live on Facebook. So now they called them the Northmen because they came from the north. So that name stuck. Then they called them the Normandies, and then all those names started to stick. So when you see Northman, Normandy, all of those things is talking about the same things. So now, for you Edomites that think English is your language, I'm gonna break your heart today, man. We gave you this language. This language came from us, right? Man. This language came from us, and then over time, you lied to us and made us believe that this is your language. This language was called what? They used to call it Old English, and then what the Normans was talking, they called it Old Norse language. It was called Old Norse, and one was called Old English. And then once they merged the two together, that's the English that you have in modern times today. Because now, if you looked at all the kings from William the Conqueror up until Henry IV, they all spoke a dialect of Norse, of Old French. They spoke that dialect. And then the Angles did what? They were speaking and their Old English. And then over time, the two languages merged, and it was called Anglo-Norman language, which later times now. And why do you think there's so much words in French which, you know, is similar in English and so forth? Because they merged the two languages together, which today has gave you the English language. So now, if I could, let me go to, bear with me. Hold on.
Salakia, sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the two languages was merged together. Salakia, sir. So the two languages was merged together. The Old English and the what was it? Norman English. What was it?
Old Norse. So
Old North, right? Okay.
Old Norse. Some people say Old Norse. Some people say Old French. So are you able to see that on the screen?
No, what's the number one?
Go ahead.
When did I know English got a lot of Latin in it. When did Latin come into play?
So basically, the Latin was into play before that, but what they would do in England, all their serious documents would have them written in Latin. So you see, like with the churches and stuff, most of those things would be written in Latin, but the commoners, they was just speaking Old English or whatever. But Latin came into play before that, just in other regions. So in England, they were speaking, they call it an Old Germanic language. So that's why there's a bit of German and English and everything inside of what they speak. So now this is Anglo-Norman. Salakia, anyone able to read that for me?
Canada and cancer. Anglo-Norman, Norman, Anglo-Normand, French, Anglo-Normand, also known as Anglo-Norman French.
So Anglo-Norman French, and Anglo meant England. From Anglo comes from Angloland, and Norman comes from Normandy. So the Angles was black men, the Normans was black men. So the Anglo-Norman language was two black men putting their dialects together. Pause, that sounds gay, even though it's not, but it sounds like two black men putting their languages together. So that's how you have Anglo-Norman. Go ahead.
Was a dialect of Old Norman.
So that was a dialect of Old Norman. Go ahead.
That was used in England and to a lesser extent other places in Great Britain and Ireland during the Anglo-Norman period.
During the Anglo-Norman period, why? because the Normans conquered the Anglo-Saxons, and the Anglo-Saxons, they were speaking their old Germanic Anglo language, and the Normans were speaking their old Norman dialect. So the two couldn't understand each other. So over time, let's say you took a wife that was from Normandy, certain words she uses, you would like them. Certain words you use, she would like them. And then over time, that's how they combined the two languages into one, which has now become the English language.
Like today, we had Jamaicans that come to England and then kind of merged it. Now you got the street talk. Everyone thinks wild wines, that's normal, safe or whatever.
Yeah, so over time, whatever's cool, people add it to their language and it becomes the dialect. So that's how they got this Anglo-Norman language. Go ahead.
According to some linguists, the name Insular French would be more suitable.
Go ahead.
Because Anglo-Norman is constantly associated with the notion of a mixed language based on English and Norman.
Go ahead.
According to some, no such a mixed language ever existed.
So now some people say the mixed language never existed, but of course it existed, because if William the Conqueror spoke French and Harold and whatnot, and they spoke English, and then once they became one, and Henry IV was the first king to speak English. Go ahead.
Though other sources indicate such a language did exist, and it was the descendant language from the Norman French, originally established in England after the conquest.
So after the conquest, this language was established. Some people call it Norman French. Go ahead.
Origin. When William the Conqueror led the Norman conquest of England in 1066, he, his nobles, and many of his followers from Normandy, but also those from northern and western France, spoke a range of language d'oil, northern varieties of Old French. This amalgam developed into a unique insular dialect now known as Anglo-Norman French, which was commonly used for literary and eventually administrative purposes from the 11th until the 14th century. Counselor, can you please roll up?
So lucky, give me 1 second. Go ahead. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna try go down for time's sake. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
It is difficult to know much about what was actually spoken, as what is known about the dialect is restricted to what was written. But it is clear that Anglo-Norman was to a large extent the spoken language of the higher social strata in medieval England.
So now that's what they spoke. Go ahead.
It
so
was
now
spoken
also with the courts of law, he changed it that French was spoken in the courts of law. So in court, they would speak French. You know why? Because he swapped out the Anglo-Saxon not jurors, because they didn't have them like that at the time, but the Anglo-Saxon people that would govern certain places. He swapped them all out for the Normans. So he got rid of the Anglo-Saxons and started putting Normans in them higher positions. So then the Anglo-Saxons took a back seat to the Normans, and the Normans became the first class citizens, and the Anglo-Saxons took a back seat, even though they was ruling prior. Go ahead.
It was spoken in the law courts, schools, and universities, and in due course in at least some sections of gentry and the growing bourgeoisie.
So now, hold on. Let me scroll down and see if there's any more one. Yeah, go ahead. Read this part.
Although Anglo-Norman and Anglo-French were eventually eclipsed by modern English.
So he says Anglo-Norman and Anglo-French were eventually eclipsed by modern English. Go ahead.
they had been used widely enough to influence English vocabulary permanently.
And now they said that Anglo-Norman language influenced English vocabulary permanently. It influenced it permanently. So now let me give you some Norman words that we use in England. So now what the words what the Angles would use is the Angles would use words like cow, sheep, and swine. So that comes from the English-speaking farmers. Now the Normans, they came up with words like beef, mutton, and pork. That's Norman words. So you see like how you would call it, how English people call it swine, but then somebody else calls it pork. That comes from the Normans. So you see like how mutton comes from the Normans. You see how over here you would call it sheep, while the Angles would call it sheep, the Normans would call it mutton. So whenever you hear Edomites using words like mutton, swine, all of these words, all of these was Norman words. So that came from the Normans that spoke French. So that's why in England there's some words which means the same thing. This is why there's some words which means the same thing. Why? Because Normans would use one word, Angles would use one word, and then over time, being in England so long, both of them mean the same thing. So if I said to you swine or pork, you know it means the same thing. If I said to you sheep or mutton, it means the same thing. So the English farmers would call it sheep. The Normans would call it mutton. So that's where these terms mutton and all of that comes from. Go ahead.
Thus, mainly original Germanic words.
And now Germanic words. So now let's see who's been paying attention. Why would there be Germanic words found in England?
Through the Anglo-Saxons.
Exactly, because the Anglo-Saxons came from Germany. So now all of these words, what you're seeing is, and remember, they was all marrying each other. So let's say a man married some princess, some Dutch princess, some Netherlands princess, some Denmark princess. Over time, your children would speak with both dialects. And then over time, that's why all these languages have certain words in there. Go ahead.
Thus, many original Germanic words, cognates of which still can be found in Nordic, German, and Dutch, have been lost, or as more often occurs, exist alongside synonyms of Anglo-Norman French origin.
So now,
Anglo-Norman.
Go ahead. 1 second. I'm just trying to find the page in this book. Give me 1 second. I should keep reading. Hold on. Let me see if there's any more in that. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Anglo-Norman had little lasting influence on English grammar as sense to vocabulary, although it is still evident in official and legal terms where the ordinary sequence of noun and adjective is reversed, as seen in phrases such as blood royal, attorney general, heir apparent.
A lot of seen in phrases. A lot of these words come from Norman. But hold on, read on. I'm just trying to.
Court martial, envoy extraordinary, and body politic.
Take me down to the part where it says the Royal Coat of Arms.
Canada concert. The Royal Coat of Arms of the United Kingdom still features in French the mottos of both.
Why do you think the most when you look at Britain's coat of arms, most of them have like lions and fleur de lis on and so forth? Why? Because Normans brought these things from France and so forth, man. The Normans brought these things over, and then it made it onto the coat of arms. Haki and read. For time's sake, I'm going to drop this. Haki and read. I sent you. So lucky, I sent you a page in a book, which is going to go back to William the Conqueror.
Khan. Oh, Khan. So lucky, what book is this from, sir?
This is from the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles. This is page 207.
Khan. William's first task was to consolidate his hold over London.
So William the Conqueror wanted to consolidate his hold over London. Why? Because he's in fresh territory. He's in a new country where nobody likes him. Because why? He killed the last Anglo-Saxon king, and he's in their territory. So when William was there, he had to make a statement when he was there. So he wanted to consolidate his hold over London. Now we're going to see what he did to consolidate his hold over London. Go ahead. Go ahead, Hakim.
Kadwan Khan. And to extend and strengthen his rule over the rest of the country. And to extend his rule over his rule. Salakia, I think there's some interference. Did you get that, Salakia?
I heard you say to end. Read on. Let me see how it sounds.
Okay, Khan. And to extend and strengthen his rule over the rest of the country. In London, he made Salakia. In London, he made an immediate start on the White Tower, and meanwhile,
listen, for you Edomites, William the Conqueror built the White Tower in London, man. I bet you didn't know that. I bet you didn't know William Conqueror built the White Tower. Also, the Normans built the House of Parliament. The Normans also built Dover Castle. They built all of these castles, man. All these castles you see in England was built by black men. It says he started on the White Tower. Go ahead.
Is Dutch also from Latin as well?
Yeah, most of them languages come from it. I can't hear it. Hold on, where is he? Yeah, all of them is derived, come from Latin. So you'll see certain words. So all of them mainly come from the same place. Back then, Latin was like the top language because I believe the popes used to speak it. And if you know anything about once all these places converted to Christianity, they used to have to go to the pope for certain things. Like they would have to go to the pope to see if they can get divorced. They would have to see if they can go to the pope to get this done, see if they can go to the pope to get that done. So yeah, they would go to the pope, and all the serious documents was written in Latin until later on. So lucky. Go ahead, Hakian.
Kadwan Khan, setting his troops to building and fortifying castles.
So now the White Tower was a symbol of the Normans' power. So now the White Tower was a symbol of the Normans' power. Hold on, read on. Let me just get.
Kadwan Khan. He also imposed heavy taxations and began to distribute among land by English nobles.
So like you read that part again, you're breaking up a bit. So also he started to, once William the Conqueror took over, he started imposing heavy taxes. Hold on, let me just actually go ahead.
Get my internet.
Let me hear. Hakim, can you hear me? Nah, his thing dropped out again. You know. Hold on.
Shalom, Benjamin.
Canada and Canada.
Hakim, can you hear me? One second. There you go. The yellow part.
All right, cool. William's first task was to consolidate his hold over London and to extend and strengthen his rule over the rest of the country. In London, he made an immediate start on the White Tower.
And he made an immediate start on the White Tower.
I never know.
How do I mute his mic? This way. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Khan on the White Tower, and meanwhile toured the country, setting his troops to building and fortifying castles.
So now that's what William the Conqueror was doing. He was setting up his troops to fortify and build castles. So they begin to build a lot of castles. They built so much castles. They say that it's estimated that the Normans built over 1,000 castles, which means 1,000 castles today belong to black men, man, because they was built for and by black men. And it says he built these castles for most of his men to live in. He had like a little house at the front of these castles. He built all kinds of things. Go ahead, anymore on that.
He also imposed heavy taxation.
And he also imposed heavy taxes. Why did he impose taxes? Because they need to pay for all the bricks and all the stone that they're using and all the wood. And at that time, I don't know if you've watched them ancient movies where the archers, you know, when the archers would set the arrows on fire and burn your castles down. Yeah. That's how they was fighting back then. The archers was burning castles down. So now they used to put things in place to avoid that happening. Why do you think at the Tower Bridge they have what? The Tower of London. You've been there. Do you see the drawbridge?
Yeah.
And there's a reason why they have the drawbridge, because the drawbridge will be up, so you can't get over there to attack them. So they would put the drawbridge is right by the entrance, right? Yeah. Yeah, and there's a moat around it, which is the water. So when you come to attack them, they can get to you before you get to them. So they used to build these trenches, and then now if you've seen some of the castles that are built on the top of a hill, there's a reason why they build them on the top of a hill. Because when you're running up the hill, they'll just the archers will just hit you with the bow and arrow. So lucky, go ahead.
Come. And began to distribute amongst his supporters land.
And now he started to give his supporters land. And these his supporters was what? Black men. So how come black men don't have none of this land today, man? Where is my Dover Castle? Where is my Cardiff Castle? Where is my House of Parliament and all of these things? Go ahead.
Castles were the main means by which William asserted his authority.
And now William asserted his authority by castles, because if he could create these big buildings, everybody would know who's in charge. So he scrambled to London to create these big buildings, and he created all these castles. He created all these moats and so forth. Go ahead.
The earliest construction were moats and bailies.
We're moats and bailies. We're going to show you what those are in a minute. So that's like them battle castles. You would build a castle, and those was like the battle castles. So okay, go ahead.
Quickly thrown up to control the town or subdue an uprising. The moats.
And now he created those to subdue an uprising. Hold on, let me see if I can pull a picture of it. How do you spell the bailey and moat again? Is it there?
M-O-T-T-E.
M-O-T-T-E. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to see if I can pull up a picture of a moat and bailey castle.
In the moat, the water around it, innit?
Yeah.
The bailey part, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I think that's like the hill kind of part. Hold on. Let me find a good one. So the moat's like the watchtower at the top. Hold on. Let me. So now a moat and bailey is, if you look at this right here, can you see? So that's the moat there to keep. So there'll be a man in there, and then the barracks would be where your people stay. So you see the water. The water here is around it. Okay. So this water is to keep all your enemies out, and then the entry in is right here where the drawbridge is. So at the end of the night, a man would pull this drawbridge, so nobody can't get in. And then they would all stay here in the barracks to protect the castle at the top. And then there'd be a man here in the moat. And then this man, and there's a flying bridge here. So this is the final point. So you see, if they did breach the other parts, they would scarp up here. As they come up here, they'll pull the flying bridge up, so no one can get to the top. And then they'll be shooting people down. So it was like this. So this is the bailey that had the barracks here. You see this water? This was to keep your enemies out. And William the Conqueror built a lot of these. So he built a lot of these, so you couldn't get up to here. And he had his men positioned here. So his men was positioned here. And if you did try to come, they would see you. Why? Because the water's here. So you would have to go through the water. You'd have to get over the fence and so forth. And it would be too hard for you to get up there. So they'll do all of that. Hold on, let me just add the brother back in.
So lucky, sir. I don't know what's going on with the internet, sir. So I've just done it to my hotspot. So hopefully we should be all right.
Most of Christ.
So lucky.
So now, wait, is it still on the screen? I can't see it.
Let us, sir.
It's not. Oh, hold on. Let me pull it up again. Present share screen. All right. So this is what the moat and bailey look like. So the water's here, the drawbridge is here. Your enemies couldn't get in because you'd pull that bridge up at the end of the night. And then if anything, you'd go up here. So they built it on top of hills, so it would be harder for you to attack them. And William the Conqueror understood that men was going to be trying to attack him because obviously he killed Harold II. That was an English king. So that's why he had to build all these moats. That's lucky. Go ahead, anyone there.
The moat was a mound usually about 100 feet in diameter. and some 50 feet high, was built at one side of a circular bailey.
And now they built it one side of a circular bailey, like what we just showed. Go ahead.
Which was 100 feet in diameter and some 50 feet high, was built on one side of a circular bailey, which was surrounded by a ditch, the bank.
And now it was surrounded by a ditch. So if you try to attack them, you have to go through that ditch first. Go ahead.
Ringed with wooden barricades, a wooden tower on the top.
And it had wooden barricades. So this was in the early stages of these things. Had wooden barricades until afterwards they started using stone and stuff. So now with the wood, it would get burnt up by them arrows that they was firing across. Go ahead.
God. And the garrison, and could be used as a final point of retreat.
And that was used as a final point of retreat. So if they was running from their enemies, that at the top was their final point of retreat. Go ahead.
God. In the early years of the conquest of a castle's time, in the early years of the conquest, a castle's main function was attack.
And a castle was made to stop attacks. And it was made so you could know who's in authority. So they had them big buildings, them castles and so forth. Go ahead.
God. But increasing political unrest meant that castles later became defensive strongholds.
And it became defensive strongholds. You know how much castles have been seized over time. My mom say, forget this, we're going to seize the castle. Before you know it, your enemy's all up in the castle. Go ahead.
God. Often erected by individual nobles to guard their property.
And now, castles was also erected for individual nobles to guard their property. Now, a noble was a man which is like a family member to the king or just high up or someone in authority. So they had different positions back then. You had a viscount, you had barons. We'll get into that. You had the king, you had the barons, the viscounts, you had the commoners, you had the nobles. There was tons of different ranks. So even back then, they had ranks. Go ahead.
God. Stone replaced wood.
And over time, stone replaced wood. And the first stone building was created by the Normans, they say, in Europe. So the first stone building in Europe was created by black men, man. The Normans, black men don't get enough credit for the things they created. Nobody knows these things, the things these men created, the things these men brought to England. They don't get the credit for it, man. If it wasn't for us, England would have nothing. So, is there anyone there?
God. And in some castles, the wooden bailey stockade gave way to a stone curtain wall with battlements, often studded with towers to give extra strength. And
now they would make it different ways to give it extra strength. Because over time, the wood would rot. They say it would rot beyond repair. Anyone there? Or is that about it?
Elsewhere, a well-fortified square or rectangular stone keep became the castle's strong point.
And this became the castle's strong point. The stone became the castle's strong point. Anyone that about it? Yeah, Benjamin, get me the ones that I just sent to you.
Canada one come, sir.
So now we're going to show you. Yeah, go ahead. So now the brother's going to read about the Tower of London and the White Tower. So this is in a book called Castles, Palaces, and Stately Homes. So this is an illustration book. Go ahead.
Canada one come. 6 weeks after their triumph at Hastings, the Normans marched into London from the northwest.
6 weeks after the Battle of Hastings, the Normans marched into London. Go ahead.
From the northwest, following a route from the battlefield via Dover, Canterbury, Winchester, Wallingford, and Berkhamsted. The main aim of this long march was to make an impressive show of military force.
And they marched to show their military force. So they done this long march. These Normans marched through London to show their military force. Go ahead.
And to cow the population into submission.
They wanted the Anglo-Saxons to cower into submission because obviously you had certain Anglo-Saxons that was salty about Harold getting killed and they wanted rulership. So they used to have all these rebellions and William the Conqueror tried to squash these rebellions So he marched with his army through the city. Go ahead.
William sent an advance party into London to build a castle there.
William the Conqueror sent an army into England to build a castle there. Black men built the castles in England, man. Because William the Conqueror was a black man. The Normans was black. He sent his men in to build castles in London. These castles that you see today in London, Dover, they was built by black men. These castles that you have to pay money to go to, they was built by our people. Go ahead.
And after his coronation on the 25th of December, 1066, he retreated to Barking until it was finished.
So now he went to Barking until that whole tower was finished. Go ahead.
So like you said,
go ahead.
Barking, London.
Yeah, Barking in London.
Oh, damn. Okay. So
he went to Barking to stay there until the castle was finished.
Right. So are you saying all the castles were built by black men, sir?
Not all of them, but the best ones.
Right.
All the ones that you would know. All the great ones. Now over time they've been refurbished and been changed a little bit, but we built all of them. So we built all the great ones. We built the Tower of London. We built Westminster Hall, the place where they pass laws and so forth. The place where the oppressor goes to pass laws. We built that place, man.
Damn.
All these things that we don't even know that we built. So lucky. Go ahead, Benjamin.
The first London fortification was built in the southeast corner of the city's Roman walls, with the River Thames to the south of the city walls, also the south and to the east, and the castle builders built trenches.
Go to the next one that I sent you, Benjamin. So get the next one.
Another one, Khan. The White Tower. Around a decade later, in 1078, William ordered the building of a great square stone keep.
And
the
now,
White Tower.
William the Conqueror created a great stone keep, and this became what? The Tower of London, where people was imprisoned. William the Conqueror created the Tower of London, man. They don't tell you this. When you go there and you pay all your money, they don't tell you that who created it. Go ahead.
The White Tower, which was intended to strike fear into the hearts of any subversive Londoners.
Go ahead.
This vast and forbidding building, which survives to this day, was largely complete by 1100.
It was completed by 1100, and William the Conqueror became king in 1066. So within about 44 years, 36 years or something, or whatever around that time, it was completed. Go ahead.
The tower, 90-foot high walls, 11 by 15 foot thick.
Listen, man, don't let nobody tell you that black men was swinging from a tree in Africa. This right here is saying otherwise, man.
Right.
This right here is saying that he built a tower which is 90 foot high. That's what this is saying. This is saying a black man built a tower which is 90 foot high. Don't let them tell you that we listen. I seen a post where someone said amongst black people to stop cannibalism. I'm thinking, what kind of garbage is that? We was building the Tower of London, man. We built the White Tower. We built the very room that you passed laws in, but we don't get the credit for it. Don't let them tell you Africans was naked swinging from trees. Black men had crowns and coronets and was dressed with swords on their hips and all of those kind of things, man. Black men knew how to fight and was warriors. Those warriors, man. So much that what? I bet you don't even know the Normans also had a conquest of Sicily. Listen, a lot of the Normans used to do what? Whoop the Muslims in some of the Crusades, man. There was strong Christian believers. So much that what? The Normans also had I'm sure the Normans had Sicily under their belt as well, man. Because they fought fighting for the Pope, fighting against the Muslims. Because what did you have at that time? You had the Arabs fighting, trying to conquer Jerusalem and so forth. And these Normans used to go make pilgrimage to Jerusalem because they was Christians. And these Normans was warriors, man. So the Pope said, damn, I could use some of these warriors. And in order to get them to fight, they had parts of Sicily. And I'm sure the Normans even beat them Arabs in some of them crusades. Hold on, let me see. Read on, let me try and find it.
Canada and Khan. It contained a basement beneath 2 floors of resident apartments, both containing a hall, chamber, and chapel. The top floor was set aside for the king himself. The tower's sole entrance was on the south side, some 15 foot above ground, and accessed by steps that could be removed. The White Tower was probably designed by Gundulf, a Norman monk who became Bishop of Rochester.
So now, this is talking about the bishops, but hold on, hold that. Let me just quickly show what I'm on about, so no one knows I'm not making it up. So he says Norman conquest of southern Italy. That's what I'm saying. They set up Sicily, parts of Sicily. It says the Norman conquest of southern Italy lasted from 999 to the year 1139, involving many battles and independent conquerors. Hold on. He says Norman forces arrived in southern Italy as mercenaries in the service of Lombard and Byzantine factions, communicating swiftly back home news about opportunities in the Mediterranean. So now, a ton of the people that was living in Italy was of Norman descent. They don't tell you that a ton of the people living in Italy was of Norman descent, and they used to fight in those crusades, man. Because obviously they was, Christians, and they used to pledge their allegiance to like Jerusalem, because they was Christians during the Byzantine times. So they would travel from Europe. Why do you think so much of them? Why do you think William the Conqueror's father died on his way back from Jerusalem, I believe? So they would travel because they was hardcore Christians, and they would have the bishops. The bishops would tell them, you have to go do this, you have to go do that. So they would get their orders directly from there. So like you read on.
That's it on that, sir.
That's it on that. All right, no sir. So now they built the Tower of London, where prisoners was held. Right here, I got Westminster Hall. So let me read this one. It says, when William the Conqueror was satisfied with the fortifications he had built in the city of London, he moved his court into King Edward the Confessor's palace at Westminster. Now, Westminster, that palace, that was King Edward's palace. And King Edward was a black man. That was his palace, which now became what? The House of Commons. I swear this is the one where Guy Fawkes tried to blow everyone up, right? Yeah. Guy Fawkes tried to blow the whole place up. So all of these things belong to black people. Hold on. Let me read on. Yeah. So now it says William the Conqueror's son, William Rufus. So William the Conqueror had a son, and his son reigned in his stead. His name was William Rufus. So he had grand plans to build a new palace on the site. And in 1097, he built the first stage, Westminster Hall. His structure is the only part of the 11th century palace still standing today, since it survived the fire that devastated the ancient buildings in 1834. So now everybody knows about what? The Great Fire of London. Listen, I think that Great Fire of London was done to burn up whatever black people built, man. I don't believe that fire was started. I believe that was some plan. They burned everything up, man. Hold on. Let me see if I can jump to what I want. We also built Dover Castle. Hold on, let me show you a picture of. Hold on, let me pull up a picture of Westminster Hall. I'm gonna show you pictures along with what I'm saying so you can see how great black people are. Hold on. So this right here is like Westminster Hall. This is how it looks now, Westminster Hall. This is where they have all their meetings. And little did you know, black men created this, the House of Lords and the House of Commons. Let me click on this one. All of this. Now, obviously, they've revamped it over time. But the idea was ours because we created it. That's like Westminster Hall and all of those things.
The water, sir. It's lucky, sir.
Go ahead.
I always wondered who built the castles and all those things there. Because when I look at the stone, they got some nice smooth stones over those castles. And I always wondered who built it. Who built it? Why? Surprise to me. The water.
Let's see. And we built it, and nobody wants to tell us. We also built. Hold on. We also built Dover Castle. Hold on. We also built Dover Castle, man. And Dover Castle is closed. It opened Saturday, 10 o'clock. How are you telling me my castle's closed, man? Listen, who knows? I could be a descendant of William the Conqueror, whereas no white man is. So lucky.
Right.
Black man. This right here is Dover Castle. Look how great! Look how great that's built up on the hill and so forth.
Salaki, can you make that bigger, sir?
Hold on. Salaki Banyamian, tell me one more time how I zoom in. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Is it? Oh, Salaki, no. Well, it is. I pull it up wrong. Hold on. Let me just go on there and go down. Oh, actually, hold on. I put up the wrong one.
That's beautiful. That look beautiful, man.
I was on there, Salaki. Let me put it back on there. So these is things that black people built. Dover Castle. Hold on, let's go. This is Dover Castle. Let's go to page 24 in the book and let's read about Dover Castle. It says in October 1066, within days of victory at the Battle of Hastings and after building Pevensey and Hastings castles, William the Conqueror began to build his castle at Dover. He set to work inside the boundaries of an Iron Age hill fort that had been adapted by the Romans and then become a fortified town. The pre-Norman church of St. Mary in Castro, dating from the late 10th century or early 11th century, survives within the castle precincts alongside a Roman pharos or lighthouse. The earth bank and ditch outside the castle's later 12th century walls are probably the remains of the fortifications that were established on the site by its Iron Age colonizers. So now here's a picture of Dover Castle, the same picture that I'm showing you there.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
And it says, according to the account of William of Poitiers, the first Norman castle at Dover was built in just 8 days. Presumably, it was an earthwork, wooden moat, and bailey fortification. This would have been quite a feat. Listen, man, these black men are skilled, man.
Trust me.
And imagine back then, you didn't have no little spirit level to see if the walls level. You had none of that garbage. You had no. Listen, give people a spirit level today to still build the things not straight by the wall.
That's right.
Give someone a spirit level today, it's still not straight and everything's still slanted. Listen, man, the oppressors can't build nothing. You see these new build houses, they fall apart after a few years, man.
True.
New build houses, man, after a few years, the bricks start coming out and everything's falling apart. And they're coming out and always doing new repairs, man. I need William the Conqueror to build me something, man. Right. At least it will last, man. I need William the Conqueror and the Normans to come and build me something that lasts. Build it in 8 days, man, just over a week.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
Build it in 8 days, just over a week. Wait, one second. Ashaya, you got your tablet? Where is it? Oh, nice, yeah. Take this, Ashaya, take this. Yeah, so that's Dover Castle there. Let me read on. It says, mock construction was very labor intensive and the soldiers needed to be on constant guard. All that remains today is a stretch of the ditch and bank alongside the south transept of the church. King William made his half-brother bishop the first constable of the castle at Dover. And William the Conqueror was putting niggas on, man.
So this was King
Robert the Constable. So like I say that again.
So like, yes, sir. This was William the Conqueror's castle.
Yeah, so he built it, but obviously this one here is a modernized version.
Right. So the old one, how would the old one look, if I may, sir?
The old one had like a moat and bailey. So the old one, it would have been similar, but not as good as this, because this is solid brickwork. So it would have been good, but not as good as this. Over time, they just keep revamping it. So here it says William's castle at Dover was greatly strengthened by Henry II. So now, afterwards, Henry II strengthened this castle. Henry II was also a Norman. I believe Henry II might have been the first Plantagenet king, if I remember correctly. If my memory serves me justly, I believe it was the first Plantagenet king. So now it says William's castle at Dover was greatly strengthened by Henry II and his architect Morris the engineer. Morris built the vast square stone keep or tower which is in the dominant building in the castle complex. Listen, man. One day we gotta go Dover Castle.
That's right. Come on.
I don't even know where it is. Where is Dover?
What? It's south, you know.
It's Dover, Kent.
I'm gonna look right now, sir.
Yeah, if I check where Dover is, and let me know how far.
Canada one can, sir.
Go ahead,
That's in
Benjamin.
Kent. That's in Kent, sir. Can,
Listen,
sir.
I guess we're taking a trip to Kent one day.
Khan.
Listen, man. We're taking a
That'd
trip
be
to
heavy.
Kent one day. Dover Castle was made by William the Conqueror, and William the Conqueror was a black man. I'm gonna keep saying it. I know everyone's probably sick of me saying William the Conqueror was a black man. I'm gonna keep saying it. Hold on. So, okay, go ahead.
So like you said, it's just that they've brainwashed us so much, you know, that William the Conqueror was a white man, and William Wallace and Douglas the Black and all these people, they tried to paint them as white to get white superiority. And now we know what it is. It's just, you know what I mean? It's eye opening, really.
Exactly. Hold on. Let me see what I want in this book. Listen, one day we go in Dover Castle. I'm telling you, we go into Dover Castle. Why? Because it was built by a black man. And
That's
we're going
right.
all up in there. I'm gonna have the camera and we're taking pictures. Hey, so lucky, hold on, let me just take a picture and send it.
It's 2 hours and 40 minutes from London, where I am.
Damn, Dover's far, man. Shit.
But from Birmingham,
How far? Check how far it is from Birmingham.
I was gonna check it now. By train, this is, by the way. By Birmingham, it's Dover Castle. This is Dover Castle, right?
Yeah, Dover.
Yeah, it's saying it's 3 hours and 53 minutes. I'm not sure. Benjamin, is that right?
I might have to give that one a miss. We might have to give Dover Castle a miss. That's a mission.
The long way away.
Yeah,
That's
3
a long
hours and
way.
24 minutes, 200 miles away from Birmingham.
Damn, listen.
Canada one can.
If I go there, I'm conquering that castle, Salakia. If I go there, I ain't coming back. I'm keeping that castle. Salakia Benjamin, I sent you two more. Hold on, what do I want after that? Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead whenever you're ready.
So lucky, sir. Just pulling it up.
All right, no sweat.
Khan. William the First was genuinely religious and practical man who believed that the Anglo-Saxon church and Mosaic system.
Now we're going to get to it. William the Conqueror was a religious man, and he didn't like the look of the Anglo-Saxon churches. Go ahead.
Believed that the Anglo-Saxon church and Mosaics and Salakia and monastic system required thorough reform.
So he believed that the churches required reform, meaning they need to be modernized and so forth. Go ahead.
He deposed Stigand, Edward the Confessor's Archbishop of Canterbury.
He deposed the Archbishop of Canterbury. The Archbishop of Canterbury is what? The man that rules over all the churches. So the Archbishop is the man that's over the other bishops. Go ahead.
In favor of the learned and efficient Lanfranc.
So now he brought in an Archbishop called Lanfranc. Go ahead.
Who in turn replaced the English abbots and bishops with Normans.
Now they got rid of the Anglo-Saxons, they removed them and put in their own Norman bishops. I mean, why would you have an English bishop in there when you speak French? So they removed the Anglo-Saxon bishops and put Norman ones in there. Go ahead.
Many of whom were in debt to the king or related to him.
And many was in debt to the king or related to him. So he put his family in there or people that was in debt to him there to work for him. Go ahead.
20 years after the conquest, there was only one English abbot, Wulfstan of Worcestershire.
Go ahead.
The English saints had been removed from the calendars of the church.
So now they removed the English saints from the calendars of the church. So now the English saints would have been, you know, the Anglo-Saxon kings that died and people turn you into a saint. They removed the Normans removed them from the church. Go ahead.
The Normans found Anglo-Saxon church buildings inadequate and unimpressive.
The Normans looked at the Anglo-Saxon churches and said, these is unimpressive. They said, these churches is dead, man. They're unimpressive. Go ahead.
A vast rebuilding program got underway.
So now,
and
William the Conqueror said, you know what? We're going to do another rebuilding program. He already built the castles. He said, it's time to build some churches. Go ahead.
And in a single generation, a new style of ecclesiastical architecture was imposed throughout the century.
So now,
throughout the country, Slovakia.
The architectures now, they looked at the Anglo-Saxon churches, some little small buildings, and William the Conqueror said, nah, we can't have that, man. Put it this way, this is like a new boss that comes into work and changes everything. He's came in, he's changed everything. Go ahead.
The size of the major cathedrals begun after the conquest surpassed any.
Guess what? They started building cathedrals, man. The cathedrals you find in England today was built by the Normans, was built by black men. Go ahead.
They surpassed anything already built in Normandy.
Go ahead.
The money came from the new bishops, who were also substantial landowners, while lesser nobles.
He was landowners. So now let me let you in on something. William the Conqueror, they built the cathedral of Canterbury, man. Hold on, let me pull it up. And that's the biggest one, right? That's the best one, right? The Canterbury. Canterbury Cathedral. You always hear them say the Bishop of Canterbury every single time, because that's the biggest one. So the Canterbury Cathedral is a church in Kent. So this is the biggest one, which was built by black men. So how are you devils in there singing opera, man? William the Conqueror wouldn't have agreed to this. So this right here is the Church of Canterbury. Hold on. Let me show you what William the Conqueror was building. This is the Church of Canterbury right here. Hold on, let me make it bigger. Listen, man, you're telling me that, listen, bun the church, but you're telling me this ain't a nice building.
God damn, that's a lovely building.
A lovely building, man. Built black man. This is what I'm saying, man. Imagine he came, he transformed England. They don't tell you that we brought all of this to England. They tell us to leave England. All right, we're going to take our castles back. Let us take our cathedrals back. How about we take our cathedrals back?
Right.
That's what we'll do. We'll take everything back, man. And you won't have none of this because we built the Cathedral of Canterbury. Hold on in a minute. I'll pull it up on Google just so you know I'm not lying. Read on.
Another one can. The money came from the new bishops, who were also substantial landowners, while lesser nobles.
The bishops were landowners, and you also had lesser nobles. Go ahead.
Financed the reconstruction of smaller churches.
Yeah, lesser nobles that financed the reconstruction of smaller churches. This right here, this was a big church. Go ahead.
In order to ensure their personal salvation and to impress.
They got told, yo, put some money in, man. They put some money in thinking this was for their personal salvation. Go ahead.
And to impress one another and the king.
Go ahead.
Master masons were in charge of building operations.
So now they call them stonemasons. Now, stonemason was just someone that dealt with stone. That's all. A stonemason was just, people think a stonemason was something evil. A stonemason was a man that was just dealt with stone and building rocks and all of those things. I believe the Freemasons took their term from the stonemasons. I think they called themselves Freemasons. They used the term masons because stone. I believe the Freemasons said that they, whatever they do is solid like a rock or whatever, and that's why they took their term from the stonemasons. So originally it was called the stonemason, just a man that done brickwork. It's like a bricklayer, man that would cut rock and cut stones. So that's all that was. So okay, go ahead.
The massive new churches had wide doors and windows.
Says the massive churches had wide doors and windows. Go ahead.
Their weight carried on great semicircular arches.
Go ahead.
The weight of the top of the building was absorbed by huge columns in the nave. The Normans also built large central towers, although these are
central towers, but obviously it said the towers would collapse over time. So if you look at here, you look to the left and to the right, these would be some of the large central towers that they would build. Go ahead.
Canada one can. These often collapsed later. Experiment was encouraged, and the greatest problem, how to construct a stone roof, was eventually solved at Durham, where the choir aisles and nave were vaulted with slightly pointed ribbed arches.
So now you see the pointed things on the top. The Normans also done that too. They also made them that way. Go ahead.
Come.
The large blocks of stone used for the walls were fitted neatly together, in contrast with the rather haphazard masonry of the Anglo-Saxons.
Go ahead.
Since there was no decoration or sculpture, interiors were first very austere, although the walls were painted. Later, columns, doors, and windows were ornamented,
now,
especially
with windows, doors, and stuff was ornamented. Go ahead.
Especially with multiple strings of geometric designs. Timpani with scenes and figures appeared over doorways, and blind arcading was used again to break the monotony.
If I may, sir.
Go ahead.
Would that be a precept for when the scripture says we'll build a house but we won't live in it or something? Remember in Deuteronomy?
Yes, you could use it, but that was more slavery. But you still could use that because we built the castle and we ain't got no access to it. That's right. So you could use it.
Most in Christ.
So yeah, we built the castle, we got no access to it. We built the cathedral, we got no access to it. They're telling you you can't take pictures. How are you telling me I can't take pictures of something that one of my forefathers built? They're telling you can't take pictures. And now, when you look at all of these places, the tour guides is always Edomites. Every single time, the tour guide is an Edomite, man. Go ahead.
By 1175, the dominance of the Norman style was finished. When Canterbury was ruined by fire in 1174, it was rebuilt.
In 1174, so a year later, they had to build it again. Go ahead.
It was rebuilt in a different and distinctive style. English architecture had found an individual identity.
Go ahead.
That's it on it, sir.
That's it. All right, no sweat. Hold on. I'm just trying to give me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. All right, so now I'm going to try and show you I'm going to show you the plan, the Anglo-Saxon, no, the Normans plan of when they built Canterbury. So this was their plan right here. I don't know if you can see this. So this is. Hold on, how do I zoom out now? So this is how they made it. So this is the altar of Saint Mary, the nave, the choir, and the altar of Christ. So this was their layout of how they made it. So they would have their layout like that, and then they would do the brickwork. So now,
obviously they, so like you said, so obviously they just drew it first. Would the Edomites? Sorry, would the Edomites would have Oh, sorry, we was ruling back then, right?
Yeah, we was ruling.
Oh, okay, no sweat. So we designed it all ourselves for ourselves,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So he designed it with his Norman architects. So that's how you know his architects was black, because there was Normans.
Can't.
Hold on, bear with me. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, Hakian. Let me send these to you. Bear with me.
Got it on count.
All right, Hakian. I sent you free.
Can't.
Yeah. All right, no set.
All right, which one first, sir?
It should be in order.
Right. Okay. William and his successors swore in their coronation oath to preserve the good.
So now William swore in his coronation oath. Go ahead.
And ancient laws of the Anglo-Saxon kings. Apart from
he swore to follow the laws of the Anglo-Saxon kings. But obviously, once he came in, William the Conqueror started changing them laws that he claimed he would follow. Go ahead.
Kadon Khan. All the old English customs and written laws which varied considerably from place to place.
So now they said they had laws varied from place to place. The reason they varied from place to place is because why? Before that, you had the Dane law. So the Danes had part of the land where the Danes was a law unto themselves. Brothers that was ruling Sussex, Mercia, or whatever, some of them was laws unto themselves. So that's why the laws varied from place to place. So that's why it varied, because everybody kind of had their own ruler over their own little land before. Athelstan unified it and called it Angleland, aka England. Go ahead.
Kadwan Khan. There was no attempt to codify the law or bring in a new system. The four Norman kings were mainly interested in making sure that some kind of justice was done and peace maintained. And especially that the subsequent financial rewards were controlled by the monarch.
And you know what? What else did black people bring to England? Black people also brought to England the law of no poaching and the certain animals you can't kill. They still keep that down in England till this day. They brought the law of because William the Conqueror was a hunter, so he used to have like they called it forest law. I can't remember what they call it in proper law, but he called it forest law. I can't remember what they call it today, but Salaki, go ahead.
Kadwan Khan. The courts of Shire, or the county courts, and the 100 court, a general assembly, were responsible for collecting taxes and enforcing military service, as well as
so now he also brought in his military would go out and collect taxes. So how else do you think he was building all these castles? These men weren't building them for free. He would send them men out to go collect his taxes. Go ahead.
Kadwan Khan. William did increase the power of the sheriffs, who controlled the courts and had to produce set sums of money from the fines.
Now, he sent them out to produce sums of money. But hold on, before that, listen. William, the Normans had a bad boy law, man. That would only work for some people. Now, obviously, we in the truth, we wouldn't. This wouldn't be our law, but hold on. So now, let's say, for example, they had a law where let's say Hakian, let's say I mean let's say me and Banyamyan's both in the world, and Banyamyan accuses me of a crime. What should happen? Like, what's the protocol?
He would be arrested for false accusation or something.
I'm saying, what if his accusation was true?
Oh, you would be brought to court, right? And
yes.
You'd be punished.
Yes. Them Normans had a law where, let's say Banyamyan brought me to court. Guess what I could do? Me and I say I didn't do it. And Banyamyan say, yo, I've seen him do it. You see, like today, how you go to court and the judge decides who's right and wrong.
Right.
Back then, there was a thing called trial by combat. Me and Banyamyan could have a one-on-one fight to see who the Lord's with. Right. That's what they would do. They had a thing called trial by combat. So imagine if I'm the strongest man in the city, I can get away with any crime. Just imagine being the strongest man in the city. Nobody ain't going to take you to court because this trial by combat usually ended in someone dying. Hold on, let me pull it up. It says,
but then, Salakia, sir, if I may, if the Lord is with you, it don't matter your size, really.
For real? But what if both of you are sinners and the Lord ain't with neither of you? Because these men weren't in the truth. So what if the Lord's with neither of you? That's what I'm saying. Somebody's dying that day.
Right, I hear
you. So here it says trouble. Benjamin, you able to read that?
Sir.
Trial by combat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Also wager of battle. Trial by battle. Or judicial duel. The duel.
To duel meant to fight, I believe. Duel, I'm sure duel was a way for fighting or whatever. Go ahead.
I think, do you want to find out what duel means, sir? Or
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it means niggas one-on-one in it. Trial by duel.
Right. Okay.
I think it means you can like look on the right. Can you see the picture on the right?
Yeah.
There. So that's what would happen. You would both get your shield and your sword, and the best man's gonna win. You accuse me of a crime. We're gonna fight in this ring. When that's not justice, because if the stronger man wins and is wrong, that's just not fair. If I know a man's stronger than me, then I'm gonna do what? Be a respecter of persons and say, you know what? This man's strong, so I'm not gonna stand before him. He can just get away with it. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Quran Khan was a method of Germanic law to settle accusations in the absence of witnesses, or a confession in which two parties in dispute fought in single combat.
And they fought in combat, man. They would fight in combat. Go ahead.
In Quran Khan, the winner of the fight was proclaimed to be right.
And the winner of the fight was proclaimed to be right, which means I would be right every single time. So, lucky, every single time I would be right. Go ahead.
In essence, it was a judicially sanctioned duel.
Imagine the court sanctioned it. The judge said, all right, then, you two just go fight and see who's right or wrong. No sitting in court for weeks and months on end. You go into trial on this day. These lot will just take you outside. The judge will say, all right, you two fight to the death. Whoever's the winner's right. That's crazy, man. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Madness.
It's crazy. You know why? Because a strong man would love this. Because he knows he's going to win every single time. Every single time he knows he's going to win, so he would love it. So, Lucky, go ahead.
It remained in use throughout the European Middle Ages, gradually disappearing in the course of the 16th century.
So now, that's it. And so they would do that until the 16th century. That phased out in the 16th century. Some people must have been glad, man, to finally get a proper shot at justice, man. Finally get a proper shot at justice. Before that, you're getting no justice. So Lucky Hakayan, take me back to where we was.
Can't, sir. So as taxmen, as well as overseers of justice, the sheriffs
so now they had taxmen. So now, actually read on.
Go on, Khan. The sheriffs were free to extort Salakia, what they could, so long as they set on the required money to the royal treasury.
So now they was allowed to extort men, and that sounds like your government today. Your government extorts men, man. William the Conqueror also extorted men, which ain't right. But remember, he weren't in the truth. Salakia, go ahead.
Go Khan. Often they farmed out some of their sources of revenue, so that the demands on people at the bottom of the social scale became even more severe.
And now those people at the bottom of the social scale, go ahead, that couldn't really afford it. Today we at the bottom of the social scale. Go ahead.
Khan. A problem that William ignored.
And William ignored this. Why? Because he's the king. And obviously, like a brotherhood, he don't care. He just wants his money. Go ahead. He needs to build castles. He needs his money. Go ahead.
Khan. William also detached to Salakia. William also dispatched trusted men to resolve especially important cases, which were often disputes about land tenure between a baron and either the church or the crown.
So now he sent men to sort out disputes between the baron and the crown. So now there were certain ranks. A king was what? A sovereign or ruler of a state. And an earl was a man that was a nobleman, like meaning he was born with rank based on who his family was, or he would rule in the king's name, or he worked for the king. And then you had a viscount. The viscount was like your local administrator. So today you see your viscount. Your viscount was the man that collects your taxes. Today they call him a bailiff. And then your baron was a man who, you know, was loyal to the king, and he would get some land, but obviously there's men that was superior to him. So that's who there was. Barons was basically low. And then you had what else did you have? You had a gentleman. So listen, the original term of a gentleman comes from French. A gentleman was someone that, you know, owned a little piece of land. A gentleman was harmless, basically. A gentleman was being called a gentleman is a disrespect. You was the lowest class. So a gentleman was the lowest class of a landowner, or you was just a son of a son. That's all you was as a gentleman. So if you look up the origin of a gentleman, it was someone that just owned the lowest level of land, and you was either just a son of a baron or a son of a son. You was just a nobody. So if someone called you a gentleman, he was like the son of a nobody. I'm sure at some stage, gentlemen couldn't even bear arms. So that's why when people call you always a gentleman, in other words, they're calling you all sorts of stuff. You're soft and you're weak, and this man don't even bear arms. He's a gentleman, which means you don't even bear arms. That's what that means. Like we look at it like when someone says he's a gentleman, it's a good thing. A gentleman, someone that don't even, I want to be known as a man that bears arms. Salakia. I want to be known as a man that has one of these that bears arms.
That's right.
I ain't trying to be a gentleman.
Boy,
I'm trying to be a man that bears arms. Don't call me no gentleman. Salakia, read on.
Look like
before I get carried away up here.
You want to spill blood, Salakia.
That's it. I ain't trying to be no gentleman. I ain't trying to be someone that's harmless. It's harmless. I ain't trying to be that. I'm trying to be one of them warriors, man.
That's right.
Where you want to be like, yo, you don't want to go to that land because that's his man. Have you not seen whose land that is? I want them to see my monument on the land, my stone, an image of me in stone on the land, and people say, you see him there. That means don't step on his land. I don't want to be known as some gentleman. He's a gentleman. He don't mind if you do that. Listen, gentlemen get cheated on by their women, so lucky. Gentlemen get cheated on because they're so gentle. I'm trying to be a man that's not gentleman. I'm trying to be a man that bears arms, that's an archer, that's a swordsman that rides on the horse with the sword. I'm trying to be that man. I ain't trying to be some soft gentleman. So lucky, go ahead.
That's right. That's right. He followed the practice developed by the Anglo-Saxon monarchs of purchasing and at considerable cost a royal writ to which the Royal Circuit Judge at the assize will eventually respond.
The taxes. So you see the taxes that where William the Conqueror sent these men to go get taxes. They have a thing for it today. Actually, read on. It will tell you when we get further down. Go ahead.
Bribery was rife, and decisions of lower.
Go ahead.
And decisions, and decisions of lower courts were often overridden in return for money paid.
Listen, man, they could just pay money to get themselves out of certain crimes. Go ahead.
Come, just like Pete Diddy, Salakia.
Yeah.
Did I ever squeeze that one in?
That's it. Yeah, he's paying his way out of everything. Salakia, go ahead.
God. The judges operating this traditional procedure were Norman. They also followed the Anglo-Saxon tradition of calling a number of men to swear an oath endorsing a legitimate claim. Is it a legitimate?
I can't even see where you are. So lucky, just I can't see where you are. So
legitimate,
yeah. Just skip it. Yeah, go ahead.
By taking this procedure over the royal courts, William became credited with the invention of the jury system. I didn't know that.
There you go. Read that part again.
Khan. By taking this procedure over in the... Shall I go back a bit?
Yeah, read that part, but we're going to get more. We're going to get more on the jury system. So William set it up, but Henry II took it to another level. Go ahead.
Right. The judges operating this traditional procedure were Norman. They also followed the Anglo-Saxon tradition of calling a number of men to swear an oath endorsing a legitimate claim.
So now it said William the Conqueror set up the system. Now, what did Henry II do? Henry II set up the jury system. You see how you have 12 jurors? That was set up by a black man. That's why your court has 12 jurors.
Right.
That was set up by a black man called Henry II.
Right.
Now, what also set up this by Henry II? Henry II also set up your common laws in England, man. Your common laws, which is set up in England, he also set up. Hold on. Let me see if we can get this book. So now here is a picture of Henry's court. Hold on, bear with me. Bear with me. We're almost running out of time. Like I said, after this week, this is the last week, we're gonna have to revisit this in a couple of months. Hold on.
So like you said,
go ahead.
We're not doing this again next week.
You know what? We might go into Christmas in depth.
Oh, Khan. Oh yeah, Khan.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna go into that in depth.
Khan.
Listen, we're gonna be pulling out the let me just hold on. Let me not say we'll wait till next week. Bear with me. Give me 1 second. So now Henry II. So here it says a day's business in the court of King's Bench, which emerged in Henry II's reign and became the senior court of common law. By 1420, it ceased to travel about the country and met permanently in the Great Hall at Westminster. Beneath the royal arms, 5 justices are shown, presiding. Below them around the green-covered table are the officers of the court, including clerks writing the rolls of the 2 ushers with staves. One is administering an oath. The prisoners are marshaled in chains to appear in turn at the bar of the court. So now, hold on, let me show you this picture. So this right here is Henry II's court. Look at the 5 black. Can you see the 5 black judges at the top?
Can you bring it back a little, sir, if you could? Up a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Can't. So, they're the judges in red, yeah?
They're the judges in red.
So who are the people at the bottom? The 12.
So 5 is just a picture. At the top is just a picture of the justices. So your judges. So that will be your Norman judges.
Right.
And the people underneath will be lower. Then you have the people at the bottom going to jail. There's a white man going to jail at the bottom. Can you see him?
Right, can't, sir. Oh yeah.
Can you see the Edomite going to jail at the bottom?
On the left-hand side. With no top on.
Yeah. You see the devil going to jail?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. Listen, we will put the devils in jail, man.
God damn, that's right.
Look at them. Look at them black justices putting these devils in jail, man.
Damn.
Devils sitting there saying guilty. guilty, and then you came to court like this.
Con. So who knows? The Black Brothers are the the security guys that does the security, bring them down and bring them up.
Yeah, but some of them was also going to jail too, because black men was committing crimes too. So if you look at the bottom, can you see the chains on their feet?
Right, Con. Yeah.
Right. Let's take one more look at the black justices. This is the black judges, man.
God damn.
Black judges in medieval Europe, man, that was ruling over the courts, that was telling people you're going to jail today, man.
Wow.
Look at those black justices. Let me get closer.
Wow. So basically, Salakia, sir.
Go ahead.
So basically, you're saying England is founded off basically black people, like the laws and the foundation comes from us.
Listen, it all comes from us. We was taking Edomites to jail. We set up the jury service in the UK. We set up the common laws in the UK.
That's right.
All of these things were set up by the Normans, man. They set up all of these things in the UK. And now British people use them till today. Slucky, go ahead.
Slucky, sir. So you know the 12 year. I heard somebody say it was from the 12 tribes of Israel, from each tribe.
Originally, that's where it came from. And black men brought this to Europe. I can't show you in the book, but that's where the whole jewelry service comes from. Jewelry comes from the word Jew and so forth.
Oh shit! Where can I get that information, sir?
With that should be on Wikipedia somewhere, but in a specific book, I'm not sure what specific book you would find. We opened the title. Hold on, let me get my last one. So now, Henry II had a son. Henry II had a wife, and he had a son. Henry II's son is, does anyone know, had a Richard the Lionheart?
Khan.
Richard the Lionheart was Henry II's son. Hold on.
You spoke about him before, sir.
Yeah, so he's the son of Henry II. So what William the Conqueror laid down, Henry II came and he advanced it. He took it further, and he set up that whole court system. Bear with me. So Richard the Lionheart is who the movie Braveheart is built off.
All right.
So now his name was Braveheart. Obviously they called it Richard. His name was Richard the Lionheart. They called the movie Braveheart. But when you watch the movie, it's the Edomite playing him. So there's an Edomite that was playing him. And here is Richard the Lionheart's mother. So this is a picture of Richard the Lionheart's mother.
It's a lucky.
See that black woman there?
Yeah, can't see that. Yeah.
They can't hide this no more, man.
Yeah.
Richard the Lionheart's mother. If she's an Edomite, why did you make it? Why did you make the scarf and that the other color of her hands is brown and black?
Yeah.
This was like a lifelike image of her because she's reading a book. That's Richard the Lionheart's mother.
Wow.
Who was I believe she was a Norman too. She was a Norman. Henry II's wife. Obviously, Henry locked his wife up in prison because obviously she went against him for her sons. Obviously, Henry II and Richard the Lionheart, they had like some beef going on over some land. So when Henry II died, obviously his mother came out of exile. But this is Richard the Lionheart's mother right here.
Right.
A black woman, man. I wish I had my pointer. Listen, Ra'aban hates my pointer. Ra'aban's always like to me, Salakia said that pointer, man.
Let it go, man.
Yeah, he was telling me that pointer's got to go. I'm saying, Salakia, I'm working on it. It's lucky I got it today. But look at that sister right there, man.
You can see it.
No one can't tell me the Normans ain't black, man.
That's right.
No one can't tell me the Anglo-Saxons ain't black. The Normans are black. The Anglo-Saxons are black.
Right.
We built the castles. We set up the churches.
Right.
And with that brings us to the end of the class. Clap it up. We got it today. Haki, and you can call it. I don't have the announcements to hand. You can call the class. If you want to.
I don't know. I can't remember. We're the ISUPK started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York.
Have you got the announcements in front of you?
Oh no, I haven't actually. Salakia.
All right, then. Yeah, all right. We can just do the salute. Yeah, call it. We can just do the salute.
All right. Damn.
So,
Men of Israel, Margin. Margin Shabbat. Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Bashim Shabbat,
Yahweh Shemir Shabrak
Yeah, boy, Shimei Shabrakata.
Ajimata, class dismissed.
All right, for water again, Akim. I appreciate it. We'll be here tomorrow with Captain Karofia. And with that, Shalom, Hakim, for water, Ben Yami, and for water. I appreciate it.
Do what, sir.
All right, Shalom, Lord of Christ.